and I lost that scholarship. That was the Japan Embassy Scholarship. If you don't know about that, we have the Japan Embassy Scholarship where you apply through the embassy and, they call you. And then at the end of the day, you go for interview and then there are no exams or stuff like that. So I applied for that. I was called and I wasn't well prepared to admit. So tell me about yourself really caught me off guard. And then I went for a different interview for the US Embassy for Fulbright Scholarship. And the tell me about yourself question was actually the question that gave me the scholarship. Because my answer really drove the conversation. Because the answer I gave was in line with the questioning the others had. And then we talked about, virtually the things I do in KNUST. So this question really answers why you. If you are applying for a scholarship, a master's program, okay, if you are applying, it means you have the grade. Okay, it means you have your grades and everything. But why you? Why you? Because imagine you're in biochemistry, right? You have a first class. In biochemistry alone, how many people have first class? Yes, about 10. So if you apply to a UK schools for one program, all the 10 people are applying. That's just biochemistry. Then we have biology students also applying for the same scholarship. If it's a Commonwealth scholarship, all of you are applying. So within KNUST alone, you have 50 people applying. Then we go to Legon, we go to UDS, we go to UCC. Now, when I was a student, I assumed my competition was just amongst my class, and that's the mistake you make. Know who your competitors are so that you can plan. Okay, and one thing I learned recently is I happened to review the admission of some of the students, not really review, but I had the opportunity to interact with some of the applicants who apply to Michigan State University. So we are giving students who apply, students that university deemed fit, like students that university want. So they bring them to us to interact with us just to have, a student's perspective. And I looked at the guy. I was told the guy was an international student. Okay, so he was from Nigeria. So here I thought, oh, there's a guy in Nigeria. And I looked at his CV. This guy was being tagged as international student, okay? But he had his education in the US, his undergrad. And he had 2 publications. So imagine you in Ghana without a publication. You are also applying as an international student, and there are slots for international students. So if you think your course mates are just the ones you are competing with, I think you lose out, especially with those guys. Yeah. Okay, so you are thinking and you are preparing, just know the people you are competing with. Okay, and this question is just a combination of your experiences that make you suitable for the position. Okay, the internships, the skills you developed, and stuff like that. How do you get an internship? It's really easy and hard. If you are a scientist and you want to continue being a scientist, you want to be in the research, you want to have an internship at a place like Noguchi or KCCR. Now, those places are very competitive. Okay, so I remember first year I applied to Noguchi. I went in there and I was told I was in first year. So they bounced me and they asked me to come in third year. I applied in third year, I didn't get. But here's the trick. If you want to go into KCCR, recently you saw the post by, I think I have it later on, where Dr. Labi and one other lecturer in the Department of, I think, Medicine, appointed to the African Scholars Union. Now, Dr. Anthony Efum Eje Ewa was my classmate. Okay, I can confidently say now he's doing well, so there's no problem saying this thing. He was an upper student. He wasn't a first class student. So those of you with upper, there's room for you to get scholarships to study. Okay, so don't think that you can't, but it's a combination of your experiences. Okay, and Tony positioned himself in such a way that he found himself in KCCR. I worked with Tony on so many projects where we found ourselves in KCCR. What we did to get into KCCR was there was a professor by name Karen Duka who was working with a project student, a master student. Okay, so he was doing his project with KCCR, and then we volunteered to help him. So we couldn't get straight into KCCR. So if you want to get into KCCR, volunteer to help a master's student, volunteer to help somebody in final year. When you volunteer, what happens is when he is going to KCCR, he will carry you along. And then you will meet the bosses there. Ask questions. You don't need to know the science. Oh, what is this? Oh, how do we do this? Just ask those lame questions. What happens? You are building a network. And then when you get to know these people after a period of time, then you tell them, oh, I want to learn and I want to come here. You are already connected. You didn't have to pay money. But then the people will see the zeal and the enthusiasm you have for the science, and then they will recruit you to learn some of these things. So that is just my trick and my way of getting into that. And the people you know also can help you. I got into Noguchi also to do an internship just because of a TA I had in first year. The TA was by name Bright, Dr. Bright. He was a TA for Dr. Labi. Dr. Labi was my TA in first year. So Dr. Bright happens to work in Noguchi. And I sent him a message that, please, I want to have an internship there. And he did everything possible for me to have an internship. So please, the people you know, which I think I have on my next slide, letter of recommendation. There is this question. People always say who you know or who knows you. Please, it's not about who you know. That time is gone. You all know the president of Ghana. Right. You all know Obama. You all know whoever. But does he know you? That's the question. In school, I was close to this woman, Professor Mrs. Odro. I can call her anytime to give me a letter of recommendation. You see, the thing about letters of recommendation is that the professor is putting his or her reputation on the line for you. So don't assume anybody will just write you a letter of recommendation. Don't assume Mrs. Mensah will write you a letter of recommendation because you were his or her student. Get to know them. Let them know you. You see, there are some of you in the class that none of your professors know you. I was talking to Dr. April, and he told me, Nat, there are some of the students, I don't know them. So when they come to me, I don't even know what to write. So what do? They write the generic letters for you. Oh, this student was a bright student. He had first class. He was a team player. Now, mind you, these letters, we call them generic because every professor knows those kind of letters. They are templates. It's in the department. If you want to go, if you are, if you get to final year and you want a letter of recommendation, if you go to the department, they'll tell you, oh, go and look at what they wrote for somebody 10 years ago. Yeah. And they'll just review it for you. But please, you don't want that. You want specifics. Is that okay? And you want the people to talk about the science you did. So this is a recommendation I have for you. You see those two guys at the bottom, the promising early career researchers, Dr. Labi and Dr. Efume Okyerewaa. Dr. Efume Okyerewaa is my friend. He has a big grant where he puts people on projects. Go and see him. Tell him I said go and see him. Tell him you are interested in his work. Okay, you're just interested in his work. You want to learn. He understands because he has been there. And I told you, he wasn't the brightest of students at that time. Now he's smart. Okay, but he had his own, positive sides. Go and see him. Tell him I'm interested in science and I want to learn. Okay, he's going to guide you. I'm going to talk about mentoring later on. Is that okay? Talk to Dr. Labi. Dr. Labi, I want to learn. Let me get involved in your research. Then he can align you with a master's student, which you can learn from. And then when he is writing your letter of recommendation, he can be specific about the science you did. The Nigerian, I reviewed his CV. Oh, wow. That is what we call strong letter of recommendation. His professor spoke about his work, not the fact that he was a team player, not the fact that he was hardworking, he showed up in class every time. If you're a smart student, you show up in class. Everybody will show up in class. But then they can talk about the science you did. And mind you, my professor, my PI, my advisor, he's always telling me, Nat, when I talk to people few of them talk about the science they do. They are just interested in how are you, WhatsApp and stuff like that. Talk about the science. Let the people get to know you. There are two pictures I just highlighted with me at the top and the bottom. It's my professor in Syracuse University. Okay. And he told me, Nat, I'm going to write you a strong letter of recommendation. And I asked him, why? Because he knew me. At the bottom, you see me doing a demonstration. Okay. That was me. Most of you know me with mobile lab. Yeah. When I came to Syracuse University, my community outreach program, we designed, I was in forensic science. So we designed stuff like this. Okay. And we had parents and their children come in to, observe us. So what did I do? Wow, time just went by like that. So I did this. So he knew me. So when he was writing a letter for me, it was easy. Okay, do you need a mentor? Get a mentor. Okay, looking at my time, I'll just brush through. I want to talk about this individual development plan. I saw this picture and I just wanted to use it. Sarkodie, most of you know this picture if you have seen it. The picture which is in the gray, you see Sarkodie with his folded, arms. There was a writing at the bottom. And is it Adam, Chris Ato, and Co? Yeah. Initially, Sarkodie was part of the Co. But now, you don't call Sarkodie and Co. Right? Why? Because I feel this guy had a plan. Okay, he had a strategy. He knew where he wanted to get to. Okay, so bear in mind, where do you want to get to? What are your goals? Do you want to get to the University of Washington? Do you want to go to Harvard? Do you want to go to Cornell? Have that in mind and plan. What skills do you need? Get them. I'm just going to rush through. If you have a question, you can ask me. What activities and experiences? As I said, get to know the people. Okay, who can push you in places? Get Dr. Labdi, get involved in his research. Learn something. How will you assess, progress? Because you need a plan. Okay, I was able to do this. I was able to do that. I did this and that and that. Is that okay? So please, just make sure you have all these things in place. And who will help you reach your goal? As I said, okay, if you have a mentor, he can guide you. So have a plan, please. Is that okay? Then you know. So do you need a mentor? Yes, get one. If you want to go far in life. I have so many mentors. Dr. Apra is one of them. Mr. Frank is one of them. As for Prof. Odro, she's the number one. So everybody knows that. Mrs. Mensah, I go to them and I ask questions. Why? Because a mentor will direct you, will train you, will support you, will motivate you. See, this PhD life is not easy at all. I won't even go there. And they don't. Please don't give up. It took me 7 years to get a scholarship. Every year I applied. I wrote the GRE 3 times. Just because I was bad with the English. The English part is bad. I hate it. I was doing so well with the maths. But I never gave up. And you know what? Interestingly, the Fulbright, you see, most students, not everyone, on scholars, on assistants. So they come, they work as TAs, and then that money is used to fund their education. And when I waited patiently and prepared for 7 years, I got a fully funded scholarship. I didn't have to work. Whilst my mates were doing TA, marking stuff, Fulbright was flying me across the country, seeing stuff. I didn't give up. Don't give up. Is that okay? And now as a PhD student, I don't even TA. All I focus on is my research. So please, don't give up. That is just the don't I have to tell you. Okay? But I think my time is fast spent. So I'm just going to end here because if I continue, it's going to take the whole day. Okay, so if you have any questions, just please forward it to Aliyah. You can forward it to me in the text messages and we'll try and address them. Thank you for listening to me and forgive me if I didn't organize my presentation well.